You know what it is. That's right. It's time to talk money with your money nerd and financial coach. Now, tighten those purse strings and open those ears. It's the Money Talk with Tiff podcast.
Hey. Welcome to another episode of Tiffany's Take, where I answer your money questions or just give you a little tidbit of information from my point of view. So for this episode, I actually have a question. And if you want your questions heard, please go to www.moneytalkwitht.com/Ask Tiffany, and I'll be more than happy to answer for you. So this question, this person asks, how often should I review my budget? You want the real answer? No, I'm just kidding. So when it comes to reviewing your budget, at least monthly, at the bare minimum, at least monthly. You don't want to go months without reviewing your budget, because then it's going to be a pain to go back and put everything back in, and then you're not going to want to do it, and then you're going to fall off, and then the cycle continues. So at least monthly is the minimum for me, and especially when I'm dealing with my clients, I always tell them at least monthly you want to check in on your budget. Now, if you're like, well, Tiffany, I know that's the bare minimum, but I could do a little more, then I would suggest at least every time you get paid. So if it's every 2 weeks when you get paid, then check it every 2 weeks. That is the second minimum. Okay. I hope this is making sense, y'all. So definitely check it at least monthly, or at least every time you get paid. Now, if you're like, okay, I get every time I get paid, I need a little more, do it weekly. So maybe you're checking in with your budget, putting on your transactions in weekly. That's perfect. Great. Now, if you're like, Tiffany, I'm on boss mode, I'm ready to go, I want this under control, this, that, and the other. Because see, what you have to realize is the longer you wait to look at your budget or to, review it and everything, something could have happened. Like you could have been off track in week 2 of the month, and now it's at the end of the month and you finally looking at your budget and you're like, oh shoot, like I overspent in that category, I didn't even realize, So the longer you wait, so remember this, the longer you wait to check in with your budget, the more things have a chance to derail. Okay. So for me, I actually look at my budget daily, and I use You Need a Budget. So I will put that link in the show notes. YNAB for short, people call it, but I check mine daily. Okay. So, cause I don't even check my bank account like that. I check my budget. When I want to spend money, I don't check my bank account. I check my budget, because I know that every dollar is accounted for in my budget. So I don't even need to look at my bank account, really. And also it has a feature where, of course, the transactions import. So if there is something that I did miss, I can still see that transaction imported. So I check mine daily. Now, when do I reconcile my budget? I do that weekly. And when I say reconcile, I mean looking at what my bank account says versus what my budget says in the system. And I'm looking at the numbers, and if they don't match up, then I'm going back to see, okay, what transaction was maybe off $1 or off a few cents or what have you. And I'm reconciling. So that's what reconciling is making sure that whatever you have in your records is matching up with whatever the bank says. So I do that weekly. Every single week, that is something that I do. I check in with my budget daily, so that way I'm not missing any transactions that I didn't know about. Okay. So if you on boss mode, come join me. Come join me and check your budget daily. But you don't have to, and especially not to start. It's overwhelming for people that are, first of all, trying to get used to budgeting to begin with. And now you're telling me I have to check daily? No. So you can definitely do weekly or bi-weekly or monthly. It's really whatever you choose and what'll be easiest for you to stick to. So I hope that answers your question on how often you should review your budget. If you have a question that you want me to answer, please go to www.moneytalkwitht.com/Ask Tiffany, and I'll be more than happy to answer for you. But until next week, I hope you all are reviewing your budget. But I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening, joining, and being a part of the Money Talk with Tiff podcast this week. You can check Tiff out every Thursday for a new Money Talk podcast. But if you just can't wait until next week, you can listen to previous podcast episodes at moneytalkwitht.com or follow Tiff on all social media platforms at Money Talk with T. Until next time, spend wise by spending less than you make. A word to the money wise is always sufficient.